So I now have the pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Jill Hentges. So Jill is a senior quality leader at Motorola Solutions with over 35 years industry experience. Her current responsibilities include onboarding and engagement with third-party suppliers, supporting manufacturing operation, and deliver quality results. Prior to Motorola Solutions, Jill was a safety engineering at Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory, as well as quantum chemical. Jill is a strong, positive leader and an advocate for promoting engineering careers and inspiring others. She's a corporate advocate for societal women engineers. Outside work, family time is a top priority, and Jill enjoys exploring national parks. So with that, please join me in welcoming Jill.
Yes, no problem. Thank you so much. Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that wonderful introduction there. So you can tell I'm old, much older. But as I look out in the room here today, okay, let's hook this up. We're going to take a little. Any special place? Okay. How does that? Can you hear me better? Okay, wonderful. So as I look out in the room here today, I see my 20-some-year-old self, and many years ago. But in that space, I had a lot of questions and also a lot of fear. Like, what was my life going to look like? I knew that I wanted a family, but how was I going to balance that? How could I be successful at both? So I don't know if that resonates with any of you, but that's kind of where I was. Let me move on here. Did I do it right? That one? Okay, I'll let you try.
Yes, now it's working.
Okay, wonderful. Oh, item number 2. I'm glad you're sitting right there just in case we have trouble. So that's good. So a little bit about me. This is some information. You can see some of the things I like to do. There I am with my husband and some of our areas that we do. But I've worked in the chemical plant. I have worked in Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory, as you heard, so for government agencies. And I've also worked for large manufacturing. I worked for Motorola Enterprise for the last 26 years. So very diverse companies, very diverse environments, from a chemical plant to a corporate headquarters. So in all of that time, I've had some elements that have really helped me be successful. And as long as I've laid this foundation down with each of these companies, it has helped me to balance my work life and my family life. So I'm going to go through those elements with you. But before that, I want to show you this. The reason I want to show you this is the real life. Okay. The first picture I put up, if you notice, those were posed pictures. If you look at this is definitely not posed. Now, my 20-some-year-old self would be looking at this and say, wow, that is one messy house. My 50-some-year-old self looks at this and says, wow, what happy kids. So different perspectives of where you are in your life. But this is the real life. This is us. This is full of adventure. It's like, hey, Mom, it's snowing out. Let's build a snow family. It's full of mischief. Mom, look, I taught Nicole how to catch worms. And I think they hit every mud puddle on the way, right? And it's full of celebration. So this is what life is. And this is what I hope for you if you want a family. And yes, you can balance it. You can be an engineer and you can have a family. You can have these things, but understand it's not perfect. And I think a lot of times we tell ourselves things have to be so perfect. Every project we're working on now, if you're looking at anything with grad schools, any of the things, they have to be perfect. But no, in real life, it is so not perfect. This is the real us, and it's a journey. So let's talk about these elements that have worked for me. Excuse me for just a second. First of all, target the companies that you want to work for. Right? So you are looking at starting a career, target those companies. Where do you want to work? What are their ethics? What is their values? What is their mission and vision statements? If you notice today, early, our first opening keynote speaker, Catherine from Exponents, she had the company vision statement up there. That's how important that is. Look for companies that have very clear vision statements, that are very strong companies, that they have a path, strategic path of where they want to go. Those are some key indicators of you can be successful in those companies because those companies want to be successful within themselves. Look, are you going to be motivated to work there every day? What do they do? You know, do they make a widget that you can say, hey, I relate to that? Is it the software? What is it that the company or what is it the place does that you can say that I feel value added because I'm so proud of working there. I like working there at the company. And then how is the company measured? If you look, there's all kinds of industries out there that measure companies. I have several of them here. I'm not promoting any of these, but do your research. Find out what companies you want to work for. Do they have awards? Do they have recognitions? What are those things that they have? So look for those things when you're looking for a company. So again, target those companies that you want to work for. Next, okay, so you've got the company, right? You nailed it. You've got this great job, and you know that you're looking kind of on your timeline. At some point in time, you want to start a family. And with all of us that remember at this age for me, I was thinking, okay, my biological clock is ticking. So at one point in time, I want to start this family, but I also started a company. So I'm saying what worked for me is when you join that company, hit the ground running, right? So these are some key areas for you. First of all, establish your network. So in this, these are some quick ones in establishing your network. So how can I add value to my manager? So what are some of the top 3 things that my manager is working on? I always have that. I've had it from day one. I need to align with my manager. Those 3 things help me to say, what are you working on and how can I help you be successful in those top 3 things? If they're critical to you, they're critical to me. Get to know your team. Get to know your cross-functional team. Get to know subject matter experts. And I can't tell you enough, set up one-on-ones. Reach out to those people. If somebody has a town hall at your company, somebody has a meeting, reach out afterwards. Say, hey, was that? It was a great town hall. It was a great meeting. Can I set up a few minutes with you in the next couple of weeks or the next month? I'd love to talk to you about it. Start to build that network. And again, your goal is within the first at least 1 year of that company, get as much network and get as many people that you know that can help you. The next area, business. Understand the business. Understand how your team adds value to the business. What is the business doing? Are they doing acquisitions, mergers? What direction is this company going in? Understand how your team is a part of the bigger picture of the company. And then get involved in organizations. And these are organizations that are outside of your direct functional area. So this is where you're going to get some great people that can help you. They may have a Society of Women Engineers, but don't be alarmed. Some companies don't have SWE. We're acclimated into SWE because we hear it often. They may have Women's Business Council. They may have Women's Leadership Council. They just may have a leadership council. They may have young entrepreneurs. But this is these groups that you join will definitely help you, and they will help you along the way. And I really say this is when I join these groups, this is where I meet, I call it my sisterhood. So these are those people that you can go to, you know, when you're having like, I just need to talk to somebody. And it can't be my boss. I don't want it to be my mentor. I just need somebody that's almost like a sister. Who's my sisterhood that I can go to, that I can really rely on, and they can rely on to me. And they are going to give me that feedback that I really don't want to hear, right? You're like, let's get back in there again. You can do it, but you need to have that. So this is where I can build up a lot of those types of people and those resources that I need. The next area is human resources. And I think this area is often overlooked. And I have the next slide is going to be much more detailed on here, but get to know your human resource contacts. From the first day in a company, when you're onboarded, there's going to be a lot of paperwork, but there's going to be a human resource person there. And they're going to give you, you're going to have a phone number, you'll have their name. You're going to be so overwhelmed, you won't have a lot of questions then, but you will have questions later on, but get to know those people. That's why I set up a one-on-one with, because I want to know them. Because a year from now, let's say that I want to have a family. there's a lot of benefits, and I want to understand how those benefits affect me. So I get to know my human resource contact. That's a key stakeholder in the company. And then establish your peer mentors. These can be men, these can be women, but get to know these. And perhaps there's somebody that has recently gone through parenthood that you can go, and they're a great avenue and a great resource for you, but get to know those. And a lot of times you'll say, okay, this is Jill, this is common sense, right? I know this, but I can't drive it home enough. Within that first year of a company, start to build this foundation. And a lot of times it's very easy to go into our office. Actually, right now, going to our Zoom call, it's like, yeah, I don't think I know them. I don't want to reach out to them. Be brave, be fearless, go and reach out and build up that network of people that you need. So again, you have the company, and now you have your network. And I told you, we're going to talk about human resources a little bit. I'm not the human resource person, but if you want to start a family, this is key to know this information. So educate yourself on the human resource policies. Let's say for health insurance, maybe that you know that you may have a problem with getting pregnant, infertility. Does the company cover infertility? It's very costly. A lot of companies cover that. That may be important to you. It may not be. But that's just an example of one of the things to make sure that you understand with the policy, with your health in coverage. What kind of health coverage do you have? There's all kinds of different plans, usually within companies, there's multiple. Make sure you ask your human resource representative, find out, but understand if you want to start a family, what some of that may look like. And then the next area that I have on here is paid time off. That's your vacation time. So when you sign up for a company, first of all, before you sign up, I always ask for, I want to know the company policy. So I ask for a package ahead of time before I sign up and join a company. So I want to know what that package is. What is my vacation time? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Sometimes it's 2 weeks until for the first 3 years or 4 years. Sometimes it's 3 weeks. Motorola Solutions last year changed to unlimited paid time off. Very forward thinking. It's big. Now it's between you and your manager what your paid time off is. A little difficult for some managers where we're trying to navigate this, but again, these companies are becoming more forward thinking, and I think that's very exciting for you. You're trying to balance what you can do. I know that when I was looking at one job, I was going from the chemical company and they were transitioning out of country, or not out of country, out of state. It was a state that I chose not to move to. So I was looking at my next job, and I had some fabulous offers financially, but I took a government job, good pay, but I turned down some other ones were very high pay because Fermi Lab offered 5 weeks of paid vacation. That was big. You really don't often get that. You didn't see that at the time. Again, companies are becoming more progressive. You want to balance. Most of us are living away from our families, so that vacation time means a lot to you. So look at that, understand that. The next area I have up here is something called Family Medical Leave Act. And the reason I put this here is when you have a child, let me go back. In around 1993, there was a law enacted in the United States. Again, the US is starting to become more progressive. It's called Family Medical Leave Act. And that gives you 12 weeks off and you're guaranteed your job back. Most companies will give you pay. Very few unpaid. It depends on how large the company is and that type of thing. But understand, before 1993, when I had our first child, I had that 6 weeks old hand a little infant over to a daycare. So again, understand what you get off. In addition to that, there's parental leave and there's paternity. So different companies handle them differently. Especially international companies will give more time off than a lot of the US based companies. So I don't want to quote on this, but typically your parental leave, you as a parent can get an additional, besides this 12 weeks that the US says, you can get an additional 13 weeks off, usually paid, sometimes not. So I said, get to know your human resource person because they know all of these policies and how they work. So now you have this time off. And then if you have a spouse or a partner, what do they have off? Did they get parent leave? Did they get paternity leave? So again, this is an important time to bond with your child. You only get this time once, right? And I think I do have to step back and also say that through our whole careers, it's always going to be, what am I going to be when I grow up? What am I going to be? I'm going to be I'm going to be an X, and then I'm going to go to college to be this, I call it X, like your engineer, your doctor, your lawyer, whatever it is. Then I'm going to go into college to be it. And nowhere along the path does somebody say, hey, it's all right to be a mom too. It's important to be a mom. So when a company gives you time off, take it, bond with your child. And I will say there's a lot of hormones after you have a child. There's a lot of things that you're going through, and you're not used to this. You're used to getting all these acclimates at work because you have a project. I've been successful. I get high fives. I get this. And I have a baby. I don't know what to do. No one's telling me I'm doing great. The baby's crying. So I'm not getting feedback from the baby except for crying and no sleep. But it's a rewarding time. So work through those times. They can be some difficult times, but it's also some of the best times. So if companies give you the time, take the time, bond with your child. The next area, possibly motherhood for you might be adoption, might be a foster parent. Wonderful options to go. Companies sometimes cover some of these. Adoption can be very costly, but understand what your company policy is. So again, this may be what motherhood looks like for you. There is no one path. So understand what they have. Work location. I think work from home, COVID has proved that we can be successful. So that is one positive thing that's come out of COVID, which thank goodness, because we can be successful. We've proven that we can be successful with that. So do they have work from home options? Or is there flexibility? Understand that with your company. And then full-time versus part-time. Do you want to go part-time? I know for me, after I had our third child, I needed to go part-time. We had no family support. And so I went part-time for 3 years. And I will say, when I came back to the workforce, it did not impact my performance. The company was very good. A lot of people are fearful, like, am I going to have a job when I come back? It might not be the same job, but I was able to be impactful during that part-time. And I was able to also take care of my family with the balance. But do understand, some companies say that you can have to be full-time and get benefits. It's important to keep your benefits. Do you need to work 20 hours to get your benefits? Or do you need to work 32 hours to get your full benefits? So understand both of those areas that you have. How am I doing on time? Okay. Okay. I'll talk a little faster. I'll put it in higher gear here. Get to the right side. Okay. The next area. So you picked your company. You've got your network build. You've have your benefits. So now support. This is where home life comes into. So there's multiple paths. We talked about that a little bit. You can be married, partner. You can be a single parent. All of those areas. But the most important thing, align your goals and communicate. Right. So that's key. If your spouse is thinking about going back and getting an MBA, and you're looking at a potential job that has international travel, and you're going to be traveling 75 to 90% of the time, how are you going to balance it? Right. So definitely communicate. One of the things my spouse and I do every year in January, we sit down and we put together a list of our short-term and our long-term goals. And we come together, and sometimes I'm looking at that saying, really, you want to do what? And he's looking at me like, you gotta be kidding. There is no way. But putting it together puts the communication there. And it also helps me to understand where he wants to go, right? Or what we can do together, because I want to help him, right? If he wants to go back to school and he wants to do it over 5 years, I'm like, okay, go back to school, but do it in 3 years, like just get it out of the way. So talk about those things. So communication is key on those. Support groups, neighborhood, work. I tell you what, this is where you find your best daycare. People will tell you, use this daycare, use this daycare. This networking is huge on those. Babysitters in the area. So this networking is great and beneficial to you. And then set boundaries. What are those boundaries? And your boundaries and your work and your boundaries at home. So after my first year of work, you're sitting there, you've proved yourself, right? And you're going down the road, and it takes 9 months to last I checked, to make a child. So but now you want to start taking, some time off, or you're going to go in and you're going to let the company know that you're expecting and stuff. But what's your routine going to be? So after I have, my children, if I have a work call that I know that is going to go past 4 o'clock and I need to leave at 4 o'clock, I very much introduce at the beginning of the meeting that I have a hard stop at 4 o'clock. I don't need to be chatty to tell why, but that's what it is. I need that. So, and my manager knows that too, but sometimes you get in those meetings that go way beyond, and it isn't that 4:10 that I'm still sitting there fidgety because I'm nervous I have to leave. If I say I'm going to leave at 4 o'clock, that means at 3:55, I'm packing my stuff up. But I can do that because I've already set the foundation that we had talked about. They know that I will be following through. So that's, you need that foundation, but set those boundaries. You need it and your children need it likewise.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for the first
Okay.
session. So thank you so much for sharing. I think we can now open the floor to questions.
Okay, I'm just going to put the last one.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's those questions for anyone.
Yes. I'll just go. When you're talking about like meeting with your HR rep, is there a way to find out that information before you even like get hired into the company?
You can. So what happens is some of the information is when you are interviewing, and you can always ask for a packet of what coverage and what types of things that they have. You want to know that and ask for that. Don't be embarrassed. Ask for it. Many people do. Many people are just like, I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to ask. Ask for it. Do not be afraid of the word no. I can't tell you this enough. No is a 2-letter word. They will send you stuff. I don't know what exactly you'll get, but most of the time you will get all of that full package. Now, it's a lot of reading, and do you understand what's in it? But you definitely ask for it. Yes.
So sometimes you have to put your career forward and your personal relationships with your parents or with your colleagues or with your friends or anything. But sometimes later on you might feel a little guilty about not being there for them or not being like giving them the time or taking the time out for myself or something like that. So how do you tackle those situations?
I think that's interesting. It depends upon what your expectations are from your parents, right? So if you have a daily call with them now, and all of a sudden you have children, it may not be a daily call. Set those boundaries, set those expectations. It may not be a daily call. Say, hey, we're going to talk once a week. It's going to be on Sundays at a certain time, and you may be international that you have to deal with, but things change, and you don't have the bandwidth like you had before. So some of those people like that, if you talk with, and I don't know if you talk daily with your parents or whatever, but again, find out what works for you, and don't be afraid. Set those boundaries because you want to be successful. Yes.
Go on even after you met. How do you give your feeling like you're gonna miss out on opportunities or that kind of out of sight is out of mind, that they're gonna forget about you when this opportunity comes up because you were on maternity leave? How did you do those?
So okay, 2 things. So leaving at 4 o'clock, right? So the first time it's kind of hard. The next time that meeting comes around, people know we're going to talk fast. We're going to get through it because Jill's leaving. I should be at that meeting because I'm a stakeholder and I have something critical to give and to pick up, right? So I announce it at the beginning so that people understand. Now, are there some times that there's some critical things? I completely get it. That doesn't work, but you just don't want to be there. That's a weekly meeting, and you're just sitting there fidgeting, and the guy that's talking is talking about, or the girl, talking about, whatever. And you're like, dang, I've got kids to pick up because I've got to do this and this. So I'm just trying to say, remove the anxiety, right? Or talk to them offline and say, I hope I have to leave. Sometimes if it's something that I have to stay over, there might be somebody else in the room and say, hey, Jill, can you please, pick up the notes for me? And I will follow through with you, tomorrow with that. What we do at with our home, what my husband and I chose to do is, what we don't want to do is walk into our house at night and be on the phone, because our children then know that they're not important to us. My husband had done it a couple of times, and I'm like, whoa, stop. I don't care if you park down the street and sit there for an hour in the car finishing your call, but do not come into the house. And me too. I need to show that I'm there. You have my time. This is my time for you. And so that's what, otherwise those little ones aren't going to be running up to you anymore and giving you hugs because there's like, yeah, they've got so many other things. So set your boundaries within your house. What works for you? I know what works for me, but think about what works for you. And, you know, again, I think, I hope for all of you guys that you have, you know, adventure, that you have the mischief, that you have the celebrations. I hope that all of those things come to you. And just because we're women and we're engineers doesn't mean that, you know, we have to stop evolution and not have children, right? So keep that in mind. Jobs mostly come and go, but you have those kids forever. They're there for you. So be able to be there, and you have to be their advocate. I can't say it enough. You need to be their advocate, and the companies it will work out. Now, you know, I came, as my children will tell me sometimes, I came from the dark ages. They're like, Mom, you're from the dark ages, but so long ago. But I'm so excited for this generation, for you guys, because things have progressed so much compared to for me and compared to what my mother had to go through. So this right now, I think it's a great time. It's a great time to start companies. Companies are forward thinking. And I think, and they have a long way to go. Use your voice, but also use your voice. There's company surveys that come out every year. Put your voice in those surveys. If there's something that your company is not providing for you, use your voice. You can use it in so many ways, not just at the table in the conference rooms, but use those voices. I don't, other questions?
I think that's all the time that we
Okay.
have for the Q&A session. Let's thank you, Jill.
Thank you. Yes.